Hi guys and gals, it's time for Rauta's Ask Me Anything /AMA. Now I've been doing these quite a few times these past less than 3 years now. That is the existence of Rauta channel because, well, sometimes you just have great questions, sometimes you're curious about me or the guy behind the channel or some topics that I talk about or just various ideas that I may or may have an answer for you. So it's one of those, and I originally planned to do this already in the winter time, but as it happens, there actually wasn't too many questions, so I kind of postponed. And suddenly, when I asked you that if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will just keep him here. And now I have more than 20 questions, of which I will answer first 11 ones. Other ones will come out in like 2 weeks after this one, and why 11? I don't even know. It was supposed to be 10 and then whatever. But here goes 11 questions which I have here laid for you. So you can pretty much already kind of chew them out before I actually get to those questions. Now obviously, should you have more questions in your mind, should you have more questions that need answer from me, my behalf, just let me know and I will get back to you, well, probably in the next AMA or one after that. As it's coronavirus time now, it like all past mid-March, I think it's more time to spend out at home, more or less kind of a voluntary quarantine or whatever. So hope you enjoy at least some of these questions or whatever. I'm not gonna have timestamps here, so you just gonna scroll when you need to go to a certain question. Some of these questions are rather old, some of them are newer ones, but anyway, I guess they are not that much tied to a certain time. The first question would be, why did I cut my hair? Now, that is a really simple question, considering that I had long hair, like around here. I don't know if it actually shows you, but for a long time, that is still after my military service when I was like 19, well, 20. After that I started to grow my hair back, that is back to full long hair, but I got kind of a fed up with it because being martial arts guy for a long period of time, I got kind of a fed up that it was always hanging about and people would be pulling it intentionally or otherwise, so it would get kind of stuck with that lengthy hair all the time. And I don't know, I guess in a way I just got bored with, it's not very handy to have long hair. I mean, personally, I still kind of like look up to those, metalheads who have long hair. I still think it's kind of a sign of freedom, if you will. But my freedom ended with that martial arts thing. I decided to go to one thing that is actually more pragmatic. Question number 2. How do you deal with the fact that you meet your idols or some of them end up being letdowns or losers or something that less than you have imagined? Now, I think that is a really great question because obviously we all have some kind of opinion about people even when we don't even know those people. But if we have read an interview, if we have seen those on stage or whatever, obviously we have certain not necessarily prejudice, but we have some assumptions about people. So I don't know if I have actually met many of my idols, except maybe Mike Moore of Suicidal Tendencies. More or less are artists which I respect and like. Well, not always even like their music, but I mean artists are people beyond their music. But yeah, if there are people who will kind of let me down because they are more pretentious than what I was expecting, or if they are like lesser people than I'm expecting, of course that would be a kind of letdown. But to be honest, I don't think I have met those kind of people in the terms of Rauta anyway, because I think most people are one way or another sort of a stand-up guys. That is, they have interesting opinions. They are not some sorry as losers, but more like artists with different angles and different opinions. Some might be more irritating in the terms of being arrogant and all that stuff. But to be honest, I think all the artists I have spoken to are more or less kind of a feet on the ground, down to earth that is, and kind of a laid back even. I know there are people who have been seen as like, hey, those guys are arrogant or those guys are just trying to be elite or whatever. Like, I think that was said to me about Morgan of Marduk. But if you look at the Marduk interview with me at Steelfest 2019, you can pretty much see he's very laid back and he's not that arrogant guy. I mean, obviously some of his opinions might be arrogant or seen as arrogance, but I don't think, to me, it's like a letdown thing. I mean, if you have your own opinions, cut in stone basically, and you've seen it all basically happening, kind of accusations and all kinds of opinions, people praising you, people barking at you, like telling you're a shitty band with the shitty guys and whatever. I mean, you just have to kind of, you know, live through it. And that's it. So I don't have a problem being, people like that. So I don't know if I have met letdowns or losers in that respect. That's what my cat doing noises, by the way, if you're figuring out what I was doing. So to answer shortly after this long kind of a pondering, I haven't had the situation where I would be needed to deal with the fact of them being losers or whatever. So I hope this answers your very good question. Now, coffee time over. Top 3 bands of all time. This is really difficult because, I mean, I have more than just 3 bands which are very special to me. But if I had to pick like 3, I guess I was forced to say Slayer, Death, and then it would become difficult. Wasp or Darkthrone. And I guess I would have to go with Wasp, as much as I would like to say Darkthrone, because even though Wasp did one letdown of an album, I think Darkthrone did many. And even though Darkthrone is black metal, which has very, very good albums in my opinion, but then again, so does Wasp, I would pick Wasp over Darkthrone because that was part of my childhood, way before I got to know bands such as Darkthrone. I mean, like over 10 years more. So, there you have it. Favorite interview ever? This is pretty easy. It must have been this Zemial interview done at Glasgow's Darkness Guides as 2019. I think the interview just speaks for itself. Very smart answers from 2 very smart people in a very different way, very different angle, but yet at the same time it's kept kind of going on all the time. So that must be my favorite interview of all time. Question number 5, what games do I play? And this is more important nowadays than I've started streaming games again in order to chat with you. One actually coming up today. I'm actually filming this, and probably the day when this actually comes out. What games do I play? I mostly play sort of action games, and I know it's a vast genre, so that could mean games, from first-person shooters, games like Far Cry series, to kind of action adventure games like Tomb Raiders. I'm actually playing Rise of the Tomb Raider as we speak. No, not at the moment, but and many kind of, even some of those role-playing games should be called actually action games rather than role-playing games. But role-playing games also. What I usually don't like are platformers. I got fed up with those in the 80s. And I don't like sport games specifically. I could try a driving game every now and then. And also all kind of artsy-fartsy games are usually maybe too much for me. And I'm not into these kind of indie retro graphic games so much. I mean, I don't hate them, but once again, I had my share of 8-bit, retro graphics back in the days. So I guess those are out of question, but pretty much I'm willing to try different kind of games. Or also real kids games rarely are my kind of thing. So action games or role-playing games with shooters, I think that's most of it. But I am all the time reading gaming magazines, partially because it's part of my day job, and also because I'm an avid gamer, so been since 80s, so obviously it interests me. 7. This is very, very interesting set of questions. Not only one question, but I decided to put it as one because obviously they're all tied together. What is the ultimate goal with all of this? There is no ultimate goal. I just want to keep making this as long as I can because I don't know. I like to talk about metal music. I think that's one of the only few things I actually know something about, and I don't even pretend, or I don't want to even say that I know too much about it. But let's just say it has been with me a long time, so I guess I know at least a little bit about it. So as long as this feels comfortable and makes sense to me, and it doesn't feel like work because obviously this isn't exactly paying the bills, I want to keep doing this. But ultimate goal, I don't know, to have all the bands in the world interviewed. That's more than 120,000 bands, so it's obviously impossible. But that would be the ultimate goal. Interview every goddamn metal band out there. And then it would be done. My job would be absolutely done by that time. That is, when you started the channel, what did you think it would be end up? I had zero expectations where this would go. And I think we're still in one of those starting phases of the whole channel career, if you can call it that. Almost 3 years in. But still, we're very small. I mean me and the camera crew, obviously, even though I'm doing most of the stuff here day by day. But I mean, this group called Rauta, me and my help from my editor and camera persons, this is still at very early stage. I mean, it's barely some 8,000 subscribers, and I think it's gonna be big blast. I mean, there are channels with hundreds of thousands of people or millions of people, and let's face it, metal is not that popular, so I don't even dream like this could be my job one day. It's very, very unlikely, and I don't even think I kind of want it. I mean, it's kind of a tempting idea, but then it also would mean I would have to make sacrifices, do compromises because of the channel would be paying my bills, so I don't think that's a goal anyway. And as such, I don't know where this could end up. I hope it could mean that I could interview more interesting bands, mainstream and underground. Doesn't matter if it's bands like Goatmoon or Metallica, I want to go with a vast array of bands, basically. And that being said, I don't know where this could lead. If it means someday I will be bought a good craft beer by some of the fans, or somebody wants to do commercial cooperation with beers and metals and whatever, that would be great. But I don't know if this would end in a situation like that. That being said, I'm very clueless how this would be, or will it end like in a few months? Most likely not, but never know. And also, what is the primary goals in doing so? Well, once again, I don't know what these goals would be. Like, at some point, I hope I will get enough funding through advertising money and Patreon service that I can actually pay my camera crew a decent pay for the work that these interviews get done. Also, I would like there would be possible for me and my camera crew to travel different fests, outside Finland, so we could do even more interviews, bands that never end up in Finland, So I guess I would like to travel a bit with Rauta. I mean, it's work, obviously, but it can be also a lot of fun. It can be very relaxing in ways. And of course, that would mean more content for you, dear audience. So it's kind of a everybody win situation, but I don't expect people to pay the bills. But obviously, money spins the world, so obviously a little money wouldn't hurt. But it's not like I want to beg because, like I said, I have a day job, and that is priority over Rauta. But, with that, I really can't pay proper pay for my camera crew, obviously not for myself either. So a goal would be making a little bit money so that we could actually support the channel and the people, doing that stuff. All right, that's pretty much of it. And one more question is, you're obviously motivated to put content regularly. Why? Well, I want to talk about metal music. I want to keep suggesting material that is sent for me for review, for you guys out there. I want to give you a heads up when a cool album comes out. I want to give you a fair warning if some album it turns out to be shitty. I don't know if it's gonna be shitty, but Five Finger Death Punch was sent to me, and I expect very, very, very little from this. I'm gonna keep reviewing it anyway, just to take a piss out of people. Also, I want to make these interviews. First of all, it gives me a lot of it's rewarding for myself. Now, excuse me, I have to kind of shut the curtains. The curtains closed. Time to continue. Sorry for that. So obviously, I want to talk to you about these metals, be it reviews or in interviews. Doing interviews is very rewarding for myself as well because I get to talk to these artists, which are interesting to me as well. But also get the message through to you guys. And also when I'm with these opinion videos, I want to kind of just talk about this stuff. And if it helps some people to figure out things, well, the better. If not, well, at least I got to say my own opinions. And, I think it's my way giving something back to the metal community, to metal culture, if you will, by helping the bands get a little bit more reach, to get their message across to more audience. Because during my, 30-something years, 35 maybe, even more, I guess, in metal, I mean, I've gotten so much from different kind of bands. I've got to see a lot of shows and festivals and whatnot, which in so many ways have shaped my life and made it more interesting. I got to meet so many nice people, cool people from different countries because of, seeing shows, making these interviews and stuff like that. And obviously it has helped me to shape my own taste for music, be it recording my own music or, just exploring it all, so it's kind of a give something back time. So it keeps me motivated. I like metal. I kind of breathe it in and out. So there you have it. Very lengthy answer once again. And now this is a bit of a repetition here. Now, sorry, I skipped. Number 6 was, it's my 3 top favorite black metal albums. That's also very hard for me to say because it's very hard to pick just 3 albums out of, well, hundreds of good albums. And even if I would say only a couple of dozen, or maybe the top things there, I would have to say Transylvanian Hunger and probably Under a Funeral Moon, both by Dark Throne. And then it's get difficult. Would I say The Mysteries of Satanas? Would I say In the Nightside Eclipse? Would I say Vis Lyset tar oss? I would probably say Storm of the Lightsbane by Dissection. Maybe those 3. 2 by Dark Throne, 1 by Dissection. They would be my 3 top 3 favorite black metal albums. Then top 10 of my favorite bands of all time. Now this is a little bit difficult and also overlapping with the third question. Since I mentioned already Slayer, Death and Wasp, I would probably say Dark Throne. I would probably say Burzum. I would be kind of have to say Rammstein. What else would I actually say? This is getting so difficult. Bolthrower, Morbid Angel. And then it all gets a little bit blurry because, things change over time. And there are not too many bands that I could praise so much. It's hard for me to say. In one ways I would like to say Pink Floyd, but I don't know if it's actually my favorite albums. Maybe Paradise Lost because I actually like quite a few of their albums. But then it gets blurry. So I'm kind of sorry to say I'm not sure if I can actually list in top 10 band because now if I say some other band, I'm probably gonna regret it later on. For example, I couldn't say Mayhem, I couldn't say Dissection, I couldn't say some other bands which I think have like near perfect albums. Like for example, At the Gate Slaughter of the Soul is 10 out of 10 album for me, but it's At the Gate one of my all-time favorite bands, like in top 10. Nope. So it's kind of hard. So you have to stick with about roughly top 8, top 9. Top 3 guilty pleasure non-metal albums. Your favorite non-metal music. Well, Pink Floyd would be there with a couple of albums. The Division Bell and... what the hell? Now I'm missing the album that came before that. I just can't get it on my top of my tongue. Anyway, let's say Division Bell. Then I would probably pick something by Depeche Mode. Maybe Violator. And what else? Well, if Turbo Negro doesn't count as metal albums, maybe I could go with one of them. Like Retox, maybe. Also, there are lots of cool dog ambient albums which I kind of like to mention. And, well, at least Conan the Barbarian soundtrack would be one of those top 3 non-metal albums because it's just brilliant soundtrack. So, in general, my favorite non-metal music would be dog ambient and soundtracks, movie soundtracks, game soundtracks. Those two are more or less overlapping and kind of interchangeable, but but not so much other, because I mean, like when it goes beyond like kind of electronic music, for example, Depeche Mode, it's not like I like the full genre. It's just I like bands here and there, artists here and there. Same applies to rock music also. What is the first metal band CD you bought? Now, that is an easy question to reply because it's also the first CD I ever bought. That is before I actually had a CD player. And it's Faith No More's Angel Dust. No, I don't have it anymore. I sold it away probably in the 90s. Traded it away. I don't even remember where, when, to who. And I kind of regret it. Because even though I keep saying no regrets. But obviously some albums which I have sold or traded, I have wanted to get back. Like I did that with some Suicidal Tendencies albums back in the mid-96 maybe to a friend because I thought I wouldn't be coming back because it was all death metal, all black metal, all trash metal for me, mostly death and black. So many years passed and then I wanted to get them back, so I had to buy them another time. Obviously they were mid-priced at the time, so it was kind of easy to get it. So I didn't have those original copies which I already had. Like, I don't know, maybe 10 years earlier. But hey, that's life. You make mistakes, you learn from them. It's cool. But Angel Dust by Faith No More, that's something I probably should buy again. And the last question, your most overrated / underrated band so far. Well, Murkur would be most overrated band, in my opinion. Also this Five Finger Death Punch. First of all, Five Finger Death Punch is so plastic, kind of a management level creation of a band that I just find it very annoying. And I find it's just kind of a... If there was one metal band that was kind of made of commercial goo, that would be that. Murkur, in the terms of why it's overrated in my opinion, because so many people praise, oh, it's female doing black metal and all that stuff. But it's not really black metal. 95% roughly of Murkur's music is not black metal. If people are like, yeah, I found this cool black metal chick making this cool black metal, but it's not that. Maybe it's black metal for normies, and by normies I mean people outside the black metal scene. But let's be honest about it. It's less black metal than, I don't know, some generic pagan metal band. I could say even Depeche Mode has darker tones than, Murkur. So, those two bands. Murkur in terms of being kind of a folky feeling, good feeling, rocky, whatever stuff. Quite okay. In terms of being metal music. And underrated bands. Well, lots of bands which I think never got the recognition they should have gotten. But the list is very, very long. So I would say Ildbjorn from Norway. It's one of the rawest black metal bands of all time. And yet still it's so much in the underground because never, as far as I know, did any gigs. It's so unknown, virtually unknown band with still many good albums in their discography. I would also say in some ways Early Darkthrone is nowadays kind of underrated. I mean, people notice the logo and whatever, but since they don't tour, they don't do gigs, people kind of overlook it. Well, neither does Burzum, but Burzum is actually so active in the social media. It's like people are praising my weakness and Burzum. Nothing wrong with that, even though that's kind of also overrated, especially if we're talking about its 2000s material. Yeah, I know there's Bellows and Fallen, which are good albums, but the rest, not too shabby, I'm afraid. So sorry all you Burzum fans. I'm a Burzum fan, but really I don't find Burzum after 90s so important. So there you have it. And with underrated bands, there are lots of death metal bands which I think should be more, well, rated better. It doesn't have to be big ones such as, Bolt or Morbid Angel, whatever, because they are quite actually recognized and praised. But there are lots of smaller bands like Deranged, which is really good, and yet people don't talk about it. They're actually gonna have a new album out, which I'm very keen to hear. So, that is that. But in general, I don't think bands are overrated or underrated, or at least they could be both at the same time. Because one thing Jack says, this band, blah, 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 it's so overrated because Jim and Jimmy Bob are all always saying it's so good and I don't find it good. That's one way to put it. And the next time Jack is saying, hey, this one band is so underrated because Jim and Jimmy Bob don't like it. And I think it should be more praised. So there you have it. It always comes to down to the very fact whether you like it or not. You personally, vouch for some band. Like, hey, I think Morbid Angel is the best death metal band in the world. Why, guys, you don't like it? How come? In general, I would say thrash metal is by far the most underrated metal genre that is since the 80s. And it's not like because those good albums, thrash metal albums, did come after 80s. It's just that or people kind of look past the history and they focus on the 2000 stuff and have it. Okay, this is way too lengthy once again. I kind of get, carried away, as it often happens with me. Anyway, thank you for watching once again. Should you have any more questions, any more comments to these replies of mine, put them on the comment box below. And if you have some good questions, interesting questions, or just annoying questions, I'm gonna include them in the future Ask Me Anything video. So put them on the box below and I will take them on my list and reply you later on. If they're very simple questions like, do you like Bolt Thrower? Yes or no? I might just reply it on there, with the comment. But good questions I will take for the video, and by good I mean most of the questions. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Don't get that coronavirus infected. Wash your hands. Don't do stupid shit. Thank you and bye-bye.